crucify myself every day. Nothing I do was good enough for you.
That's
Crucify myself every day. Crucify myself. That's what I do. Enough for you. Hey everybody, how's it going? Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to get started with another MacBook to fix. Here we've got a water-damaged MacBook that someone needs data off of. Unfortunately for them, it's an A1990. There's no port on it that would allow me to get the data in the case that the machine is damaged in some way. Because Apple, they care so much about user data that they're going to keep the user data from the user. So let's see if this customer has any chance or if they're screwed. Every now and then when Liquid gets on this machine, what it does is it winds up on the the buck converter for the SSD, so 12 volts goes straight to the NAND, which the NAND doesn't like. NAND typically does not like getting 12 volts. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the coronavirus from this MacBook. Die, Corona, die. Stop that, Kopaz. Burn, Tori, burn. Alright, so the screws are even rusted in this thing. Jeez. Oh, I forgot. I have some screwdrivers in my bag. Give me a sec. Just gotta get my bag. Be right back. we. 5.15 volts. 17 milliamps. Oh, that's dangerous. That's bad. Let's get the board out of the case and go from there. Alright, what can we do with this? Copaz, timeout Jesus. No one gets to call Tori Amos awful in my chat. I have no shame in becoming a dictator when it comes to people calling Tori Amos awful in my chat. BTFO. You get 5 minutes in timeout to think about how bad your music tastes are. How is your... Hello, people without COVID. Hello. What I noticed is that with the meters that I'm selling, they actually mixed in color with black and white. So it is entirely... What's the word? Entirely random whether you get the color or the black and white. Oreo's doing well. The same thing is showing up repeatedly. That comment doesn't make any more sense now than it did when I last ignored it. Okay. Check it out. This MacBook is being opened. It is 5:19 p.m. in New York City. Hell no, Infomedia. That's Chris's job. Screw that. Can you switch music to Taylor Swift? No. Never. Oh my gosh. How was business during COVID? It's starting to pick back up, actually. It is starting to pick back up. We'll see. Last month was fucking horrible. It was $50,000 behind the previous month. Yeah, last month I think was about 25. No, it was like 45 or $50,000 behind the previous month. Like that's an ouch. That's an ouch. We'll see. Hello. Going back and watching the new store place. What an adventure. Advertising square foot higher than actual by 30 or 40 is fucked. Yeah, that's what the scum do. How could you not like Cornflake Girl? I liked Under the Pink was a good one as well, but Little Earthquakes is a special place for me. Alright, so the first thing is this thing is still wet. Like this is fresh wetness. Look at this. This thing is more wet than I was when I figured out the Atom was $100 less than the Quick, and that's saying something. So I'm thinking this may actually have a chance of being brought back by ultrasonicking. Thank you, Trinity. I appreciate that. Someone appreciates Tori Amos. Travis, usually I like you, but I'm sorry. The Tori Amos rule is a rule that if I can't enforce it on one person without enforcing it on everybody. You say something about Tori Amos, you get 5 minutes to sit in the corner. My dad used to put me in the thinking chair. He didn't punish me. What he used to do is he had a thinking chair. And he would say, go into the thinking chair for 5 minutes, and I want you to just think about what went on. And then we would come back and talk about it later. So Travis, I'm going to put you in the thinking chair. And in 5 minutes, we'll discuss how your negative reaction to Tori Amos could be edited. No offense, man. You know, just thinking chair. Who else wants to go in the thinking chair? All right. Turn on my microscope light. That is one nice flickery microscope light. I'm sorry to hear that, Dindog 22. So there's some food over here. A little bit of food. But the other side of the board, see, this is fresh liquid. Look at that. That is water that is still wet. Unlike water that is dry, as opposed to water that is dry. This may actually have a chance going through the ultrasonic. Also, the other area that has water is the bottom left, and the bottom left is dangerously close to our ISL 9240. So you know what I'm going to do? So, you know what I may do? I may just dry this off a little bit manually before I ultrasonic it. No PP3v3. No PP3v3. No PP bus. No short. We may have the same luck we did yesterday, so we're missing two things that are related to the ISL 9240. The ISL 9240 is going to enable PP3v3 underscore G3 hot, but it's also going to be responsible for BB-Bus G3 hot. Both those two things are missing, and while that chip is not corroded, that side of the board did see a little bit of water. Makes me wonder if a ball kind of popped or something. Bonnie Tyler Heartache. I don't have that song in my collection. Sorry. I will check it out when I'm done with work. That is one flickering microscope light right there. These lights do not like getting 13 volts, I'll tell you what. Now, many people are going to say this is evil, because what I'm going to do is, while that chip is still warm, I'm going to apply power to the board. The reason I'm doing that is I want to see if the chip becoming hot has changed its behavior at all. Now, obviously, this is something that could kill a chip, but since this chip is already acting like it's dead, it's not like I really have much to care about there. Oh. Point one, same shit. This may need an ISL 9240, but where do you get an ISL 9240? Alright, I'll give this thing an ultrasonic, see if I have an ISL 9240 lying around, and if I don't, I get to tell this customer that because Apple are cunts, I can't get their data. It's not really worth it in the no fix, no fee model to pay $119 for a single chip if there's not a guarantee that you're getting the data from it. I think that's what a lot of people don't get. Because if there's something else wrong with this machine, that means that if there's anything else wrong with this machine, that means, there's only so many times you could solder and reball this one single chip. It's, it's one of those glass chips that's really, really delicate. And if you're paying $119 for a battery case just to be able to get this one stupid chip, it really is not that economically viable at that point to be doing board repair on them. So I'm going to take this over to the ultrasonic cleaner, maybe make you all deaf a little bit, see what happens. This one does have a T2 chip, unfortunately. Okay, now remember, having shields on stuff is not good. So I'm curious if what's under the shield has underfill, then it doesn't matter because water couldn't have gotten to it. But if what's under the shield does not have underfill, yeah, this does not have underfill, so we're just going to get rid of that. Put that on the... That's underfilled, and nothing there is corroded, so there's no point in taking that shield off. If a chip is underfilled, water can't get under it, but also the ultrasonic can't get there anyway, so... That's underfilled, doesn't matter. Ugh, T2. It's not Apple underfill. I'm sure they're not manufacturing it. Alright. It's time to make some headphone users deaf. Let's make you wish you didn't wake up today. Damn it! The ultrasonic was the heater, isn't it? What? Why is the ultrasonic cold? I gotta... what? David, you've been... Yeah, the ultrasonic's cold, so we wait for later for this one, I suppose. We'll come back to this later. Be right back. We're behind about $50,000 to $60,000 from the business that we're getting at the old store. That dude. Carrots, lentils, and I think brown rice with some tomato sauce. How much does this cost you? I don't know what this is. Need some meat in it. No, it's fine without it. As long as I can still win the store pull-up contest without eating meat, I'm good. I hold the record outside. Why Coke? Why do people drink that shit? That shit kills you. And that's the thing, it doesn't even taste good. Because there's stuff that tastes really, really good, but it kills you. But it tastes really, really good, but it kills you. But it tastes good. But Coca-Cola tastes like shit. Like Pepsi too. They taste like absolute garbage, and they're bad for you, which makes no sense to me. There's no upside. Thanks for keeping me entertained while I work for the last 3 years. My wife is a Macbook Pro 2012. Apostrophe doesn't work. What's the fix? Is it worth it? It depends on the model. So for the A1286, A1278, here it's 175 to replace keyboard. It's screwed in. And on the A1425 to A1398, it's riveted in. Replacing the keyboard is $250. It's riveted in, and you have to remove the battery without it blowing up in your face, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. If it's one key, I would just remap it. Like, it's an apostrophe. You don't need an apostrophe. Nobody's not going to understand what you're saying. You're going to have grammar Nazis that bitch at you, but I'm not going to... I wouldn't pay $200 on the count of a damn grammar Nazi. Screw that. Advice on board repair for beginners. My advice on board repair for beginners is to have a known good board that's the same one as your dead board that you're working on, so that you can always go over and measure it and get an idea of how a working circuit is supposed to work. And obviously watch my stuff. It's free. It's for her school. Oh, shit. Does she have a major where grammar is important? I wonder what it tastes like if I sprinkled some trail mix on this, actually. Kind of curious. Because this could really use a crunch to it. Let's see. Cooking with Lewis. Jackie says eat real food. I do eat real food. Watching many years, your videos are great and appreciate all the work you put into these. You're awesome. I don't think I'm that awesome, but I hope. Are you the guy who yesterday said that you started your own you're trying to start your own business in board repair after quitting a shitty job? If so, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you, Terry. Love the rants about insurance. Insurance agents don't tend to love those. They really try to put lipstick on the pig of a disgusting industry. Huh. Stop giving me money. Use it to buy a soldering iron or something. Some donor boards. Icy raisins or are those craisins? I'm not sure. It's this thing. It's good stuff.
Designer crime. We got Mercedes, we got Porsche, Ferrari and Rolls Royce. Yeah, we got choice. She said, meet me in the garden. I've got Gethsemane, my dear. The Lord said, Peter, I can't see your house from here. An honest man finally reaped what he had sown. And a farmer in Ohio is just repaid the loan. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. It's a miracle, another miracle. By the grace of God Almighty and the pressures of the marketplace, the human race has civilized itself. It's a miracle. Shelters with our hands over our ears. Lloyd Webber's awful stuff runs for years and years and years and years. An earthquake hits the theater, but the operetta lingers. Then the piano lid comes down and breaks his fucking fingers. It's a miracle.
I love how salty Roger Waters is about Andrew Lloyd Webber. If you didn't catch that, he goes, Andrew Webber's awful stuff runs for years and years and years. And he hopes something comes down and breaks his fucking fingers. Ooh, that's good. Quality salt right there. Well-deserved salt, too. Don't let the food waste. You got some left still. What, you want me to pick it up with tweezers? You want me to eat with this? I gotta eat with this? Like that? That's some... Excuse me. Alright, we gotta find another board. I'm gonna wait for the ultrasonic to get hot a little bit more. And in the meantime, while I'm waiting to ultrasonic this board, I'll grab another machine. Andrew Lloyd Webber. Kind of caught up, Lazzoni. Catching up is easier when there's a lot of... when there's a pandemic. Now, the hard drive still needs more catching up, but Steve's teaching an assistant. It is important. Alright, what do we got next? Alright, G5. BRB. Andrew Webber. Andrew Lloyd Webber's awful stuff runs for years and years and years. By the grace of God. And by the grace of God Almighty and the pressures of the marketplace, hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to get started fixing yet another bad MacBook. First thing we're going to do is just going to remove the COVID from this MacBook. MacBooks often have COVID all over them. Right. Lewis, or aren't you going to have dessert? Man, I'm in no shape to eat dessert. You kidding? Look at this crap. Ugh, it's gross. What is this shit? I've been able to use my quarantine time to do a lot more running. I figure since the gym is not open, at the very least, if I can only do calisthenics and sprinting for my legs, that I might as well get in more shape in another aspect. I also want to kick Orhan's ass in a race. Did you manage to fix the T2 firmware issue? No, I'm going to ask Chris on Monday. Okay. Your pecs are huge. Am I inadvertently becoming a Twitch streamer? So the first thing you notice with this board, the airbags. 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 So let's see, what's this thing doing? I'm not going to plug in the battery because I don't want anything to do with that battery blowing up in my face. I heard it chime, and I see an Apple logo, but there's no backlight. So the problem with this machine is that it has no backlight. So the first thing I'm going to do is, what is the backlight voltage? What are we measuring here? The backlight voltage measured is 0 volts. Okay? Fair enough. Now the backlight fuse on this model is never going to go bad because it's a current sensing circuit. And as you can see, we've got a fine backlight fuse there. So let's unplug it. No power going through it. Do we have a short circuit? We do. 10 ohms to ground on backlight output. If I unplug the screen cable, we get 170,000 ohms, which means most likely this is a bad screen cable. So let's open this thing up and see if that is the case. I got to remove the hinge. No biggie. You can stick your tweezers in the battery cell to make it less puffy. You know what? I'll let you do that. How about you do that? You can do that in your house. You go for it and you tell me how that turns out for you. Okay, these two little rubber things over here. Now, remember, this has no light in the screen. So the first thing I did is check screen power. Backlight output. That's usually on the schematic as PPV out, SO LCD backlit, or PPHV something LCD backlight. If you go to where the LCD connector is on the schematic, there's often going to be something that makes it very obvious that that's backlight. So, yeah, I'll open up the schematic for this one. This one's a 3787. And we can show you that real quick before I take the screen off. So this is the LCD connector where the screen plugs in. And the first pin here, PPV out LCD backlight. And if I click that, it shows me all the places that backlight shows up. So here we have a capacitor, where we have ground on one side, and the LCD backlight output on the other. And over here you can see backlight fuse in the backlight circuit. F7700, that's what I measured before. Now we are going to do this. Just unplug the antenna. Now this is a difficult one to pull out, this webcam thing, because you can't really pull it out with your nail since there's barely any sticking out there to get it out by. So how are you going to remove that connector without breaking the hole, breaking it out of the machine? See, this is a difficult one. This is a painful one. Most people, they pull and they rip the cable or the connector because the cable is not strong enough usually to support this. And of course, because I'm recording it and I'm trying to show you something, that's the one fucking time that it comes out easily. But it usually doesn't do that. So you can use one of these pry tools and do this. Or if you don't have a pry tool on you, you could use a T5 screwdriver. Just don't touch the board. And if you touch the board a little bit, it's not too terrible, but you don't want to scrape through layers of it. And do this. a little out on this side, a little out on that side, a little out there, and then you can pull the cable out. But yeah, there's a lot of people that rip that cable. And once you rip that cable, you're not getting a webcam ever again. Because you have to run that cable behind the screen, which you're going to have to break in order to get into, and it's very, very bad. It's just don't break that cable. So what you do is you don't remove the cable. And you don't need a spudger. You can use something else. It's not the end of the world if you use something else. It's only the end of the world if you fuck it up using something else. All right, so I'm going to take out those two little pieces over here. No contact tracing going on there. Now we got to get this stupid clutch cover off, which never wants to go back on properly after you remove it. Piece of shit. Come on, you fuck. There we go. I need a smaller Phillips. I brought home my smaller Phillips so that Erica could take apart her keyboard. But she hasn't taken apart her keyboard yet. This is the Wi-Fi antenna here. Gotta unscrew this thing. So many screws in this little bastard. The display cable has tape around it that goes around the antenna. This whole thing is a troll by design. By design, it's a total troll. And it wouldn't be an Apple product if they didn't put a screw under wires. Total pricks. Okay, Wi-Fi antenna's off. Alright, this is going to be interesting. So this is not going to be a screen cable necessarily, but it's not going to need a screen either. This may actually require refurbishing of the screen. Yeah, check that out. You see what I see? Now this is on the screen side. Look at the screen. The screen connector on the screen side itself is bad. Now the thing is, I want to try and reuse this screen. Why do I want to reuse this screen? I used to be able to buy the LCD for $85 to $90, and then it stopped being available. Hey man, love your videos, always wanted to contribute something. It's not much, but love. But it's all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. You're awesome. Thank you for the 35 ZARs. I appreciate that. It's awesome that people are watching from that far away. Thank you, Kyle. So, where was I here? So this screen used to be $85 to $90. Now the screen's not available at all. All you can buy is the entire top assembly with the Apple logo in the back and the metal container and the hinges and everything, and that's going to cost over $400. And even if you could replace the screen at $85, it's a really miserable thing to do. Replacing the screen on this is not easy at all. So I don't want to tell this customer they need a new screen because for some reason their control board died because Apple. What I'm going to try to do here is revive this as is. So the first thing I'm going to try and do is remove that screen connector. Now I used to have a soldering tip that was gigantic, and I'm going to see if I can find that and steal it. Be right back, because it's going to allow me to easily remove that without damaging it with hot air. I cannot use hot air here. Hot air is not going to work because the ribbon cable is there and also the screen cable is there, and they will get destroyed immediately if I try that. The tip that I'm using here is a T15-1403. That's T15-1403. Because remember, I can't use hot air. If I use hot air on this to try to get this LCD connector off, what's going to happen is if I heat this, I'm going to heat the ribbon cable under it, but more importantly, I'm going to destroy the screen. The screen does not like getting hit with 200 or 300 or 400 Celsius. It's not going to work. So this is the tip I'm going to use. Look at this thing. It's gigantic. Can I fix Erica's keyboard next time I come in? Oh, hell no! Okay. I like the idea that you're going to break her MacBook. I kind of like the idea for not having a MacBook, actually. Okay, so we do this. And we take the big tip. This is what I like about the Hakko iron, is that you can get just about any tip for this thing. That's what I like about the FX951, is the availability of all these little things like this. It's awesome. So now we're going to turn the screen so that it's more comfortable for me to work. Remember, you don't want to station yourself around the screen's comfort. You want to have the device on the desk so that you're comfortable. Which is actually kind of hard here because I'm right-handed. And it would make more sense if I was left-handed so that the screen would not be hitting me. Okay, so watch what we do here. We're going to kind of sweep this connector off of the board. Remember, we don't want to touch the screen at all. Also, everybody say hello to the flickering microscope camera light. I overvolted a really cheap microscope light because I'm a cheapskate after buying that polarizer filter. I didn't have enough light, so I overvolted it, and I'm sending like 14, a 15, a 16 volts to this microscope light, and let me tell you, it does not like that at all. It does not like that at all. So it's responding by flickering. And instead of do the right thing and just pay the $100-something bucks for a good microscope light, I'm just going to continue overvolting this one and giving myself a seizure. But it's kind of fun. I like it. Yeah. There we go. See? And the connector comes right off without having to use any hot air. Isn't that beautiful? Pretty cool, right? I got this tip for when I was doing BGA rework so that I could easily wick the entire area underneath a GPU without having to go, down it 20 different times. And it was pretty nice for that. But it also comes in handy for these situations, and not just wicking large BGA chip pads. So let's clean up the area. Can we shave with that tip? That'll be a bad idea because you'd probably burn your face. Alright, I gotta get myself an LCD connector. I'll be right back. Where could you buy an LCD connector if you wanted an LCD connector? I wonder where. Where would you go if you needed one of those items? If you wanted an LCD connector, where could you think of where you would be able to find that LCD connector at a reasonable price? With same-day shipping. That's right, folks, same-day shipping. OMG. OMG. Same-day shipping? Yes, indeed. Where would you go if you wanted to find that? Where would you go? where would you go? Think about it. If you were smart, where would you go? Store.rossmangroup.com, baby. Store.rossmangroup.com. That's where you go. What do you mean from TV monitor? I use an HDMI capture card to get the microscope camera as well as my camcorder and the overhead camera. Yeah. I don't know what you mean by TV monitor. Alright, this is hard because you got this cable in the way. That's the actual backlight cable itself. Sabre, go away. Stop bitching. There is no reason to keep bitching. Shoo. I'm listening to music while fixing a board. Fuck off. Teacher or DJ, why are you playing music? I don't want any days. Yeah, multiple video sources is a capture card. I use this Magewell Quad HDMI capture card, but it's actually not a good deal anymore because Blackmagic came out with one that can do 4K and it's actually cheaper. This one can't. Then again, Blackmagic doesn't really work just out of the box the same way that the Magewell stuff does as easily. I used to have a Blackmagic card. First, it didn't accept my microscope input because they claimed that my microscope camera was a medical HDMI, not broadcast HDMI, and theirs was only compatible with broadcast HDMI, which sounded like the biggest load of shit I'd ever heard in my life. And also, it only worked if you set the exact frame rate of your device. So if my camera's outputting 59.94 frames per second and I set it to 60, I'd get black video. I don't know. It's too much of a pain in the ass. Leave the hinge screw. So Henry, if you want to do that, leave the hinge screws very loose. Close it, line it up, then tighten the hinge screws. Then open it, Then you have to disconnect the hinge, the display assembly to put the clutch cover on. But that's how you make sure that the hinges are in the right are screwed into just the right spot. When did this connector become such a piece of shit? It seems like I have two different connectors. There's the motherboard connector, and then there's the display side connector. And the display side connector is really annoying to work with by contrast. What's the best MacBook to buy for the least amount of problems? I need to get one for work. I don't know, 2013 A1502 or A1466. But ultimately, don't buy a MacBook. Come on. What happened, Sonia, with Eli and the Black Magic? The normal drag soldering technique I use doesn't want to work on this connector because the pins are so shitty it'll just break into pieces. Watch. See how easily they bend here? Like, these pins are made of shit. It's not like the LCD connector that goes to the board. That one's very, very strong and durable. It's really interesting because it's the same general connector. The only difference is that other one has those two little pegs under it. These pins are such shit. They bend so easily. This is not like the normal IPEX connector. And making matters worse, my microscope light is probably giving you all a nice seizure by now. All right. Make sure the pad is heated and the pin is heated. Make sure all these have a nice connection. I would honestly have been better off using the motherboard side connector, but just bending the pegs off of the bottom myself. Because the screen side connector is such a piece of shit by comparison. It's unbelievable. As you see, when I do my normal drag soldering, I'm just beating the crap out of that connector and it doesn't care. And this is like if I tap it wrong with a micro pencil, all the pins get bent. One second. Ah. Hmm. Hmm. Trail mix. I have to get used to this whole washing myself before I touch food constantly. Hey, where can I get some Q-tips? I could. Also, the ultrasonic should be warm by now, so I should be able to toast the other board. So I should do that while I'm looking for Q-tips. Be right back. Hi has not been fired. I'm not giving Hi the joy of a $600 a week unemployment. Screw that. Hi. Bye. Who's Hi? Is Hi a nickname? Yes, Hi is Hi's nickname. Hello. Danielle or Danielle? Or Daniele? Malagoli. I'm recovering data from damaged USB key. Best of luck. Hi Hi is Hi Hi's nickname. You said my name properly at last. So Danielle, Daniele, or Danielle? Alright, and I'm not going to reuse that screen cable, obviously. So let's take the screen cable off. The second. So Danielle, Daniele, or Daniel? That doesn't really answer. I'm just going to call you Daniele. Because I don't... Europeans are confusing. Purposely confusing. Okay. So we plug this in. Did you get solder in the connector? Danny L. Okay, now I get it. Nobody has to know about this part. This part can be our little secret. Okay. Now the excess solder that I accidentally got inside the connector is going to be on the screen cable. I kind of use the screen cable as a wick. Kind of a fucked up thing to do to a poor little screen cable. It's a mean thing to do to a poor little screen cable that never deserved it. I wick the solder off of the screen cable. All right. And now we see if this actually works.
You have a natural tendency to squeeze off the shot. You're good for the parties. You wear the right modest. You're old, but you still like a left in the locker room. You can't buy change with a home on the range. You open the suitcase behind your workings to show off the magnum you're deaf with the king. A comforter friend, only upstage to the end by the Uzi machine gun.
Don't smoke. Oh, no smoke. Apple logo. Well, there you go. So there, what we did was we refurbished the screen itself rather than replace it. So we had a short to ground on our backlight line. And after we noticed the short to ground on the backlight line, I unplugged the screen. When I unplugged the screen, the short went away, which meant that the short had to have been inside the screen. So when I opened up the screen, I saw that where the cable for the screen connects, that it was burned. So replacing the cable would not have done any good, because as you were able to see, that the entire section was all burned. So you needed to separate the connector on the screen. Now, why wouldn't I just replace the screen? Because that screen that used to be $85 to $95, A, takes over an hour to replace and is absolutely miserable. But more importantly, B, that screen now costs over $400 because Apple. So there's not much I can do. If you look for an LP154WT1 SJE1, I used to get those for $85 and now they cost over $400. So replacing the screen on this would have been prohibitively expensive. Now when someone says, but Louis, I think it's just the cable. It's just the cable. And I respond with something that kind of crushes their hopes and dreams that this is going to be a $5 repair. Hopefully this video serves as evidence as to why. Opening this display assembly up is honestly easier than it was on older generations, where just to get to the screen cable you had to remove a piece of glass that often broke. It's easier to get to the screen cable in here than it is on some of Apple's older designs, for sure, absolutely. But replacing the connector and all that stuff that burned when the cable burned and all that, it's not a 5-minute thing. But as you can see, it does work. We do get a backlight now and an image, and we didn't have to replace the entire display assembly. So while this is not a cheap $5 fix, this is definitely less than the $500 to $1,000 that a customer would have been charged had they gone to the Genius Bar. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to buy a connector, anything like that, well, store.rossmangroup.com for life, baby. See you in the next video. Everything's so confusing here, nobody can keep anything straight. What you mean? Hmm? Do you fix Mac Mini? No. Usually no. Problem with fixing Mac Mini is cheaper to buy on eBay than it is to fix. Okay, so what I need to do now is take that other board and flip it on the ultrasonic, clean the other side of it, and then dry it off.
You have a natural tendency to squeeze off and shut. You're good for the parties, you're weather like mouse. You're old, but you still like a left in the locker room. You can't buy change with a home on the range. You open the suitcase behind your workings to show off the magnum you're deaf with the king. A comforter friend, only upstaged to the end by the Uzi machine gun. Does the recoil remind you of 6 old men? What the hell you gonna kill next? Old time, who you gonna kill next? I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Marie the pilot did. I swung the approach, lay on the palm trees, lay on the federal building steps. Patrol the range finder over the hills, the frontline boys popping their pills. Sick of the mess, they find on their desert stage, and the bravery of being out of range. Yeah, the question is great. Oh man, what the hell you gonna kill next? Oh time, who you gonna kill next?
The A1707 battery, is the board cable replaceable, or would the whole battery, including it, need to be replaced? You can just replace the cable. It's just you got to find it, and that's hard. But you, Ranch to video.
I swam in your pools and lay under your palm trees. I looked in the eyes of you who lay on the federal building steps and throw the rangefinder.
21st century. Planet of visions.
Planet of Missions.
Planet of visions. 21st century. Planet of visions.
Planet of Missions.
Okay, what do we have here? Kernel panic, battery gets hot and stuck in boot loop. Fan spin and charger does light up properly, I think. Kernel panic, battery gets hot, stuck in boot loop. Okay, so sometimes on these machines, if you don't have a good battery installed, it will boot loop. So I'm going to try a good battery. Also, this is the worst do-it-yourself thermal paste replacement I've seen in a while. Thermal replacement all over the side of the board here. I'm gonna torture you all while I get my another battery. Since all of you were complaining about music that was awful, I'm gonna play you the most pretentious thing that there is to play. Ready? Yeah, suck it.
Six so fine outside.
Such an annoying battery to plug in. Jesus Christ. Plug in, you damn battery. Okay, it's taking 4 amps. 4 amps means it's charging my battery. Or that my battery is going to blow up. Random boot looping? This never makes it into the operating system. Even with a battery plugged in. Okay, let's get another operating system to boot this into. Hollywood, I know your middle name. That's my claim to fame. At Mr. Chow's. Dun 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 So pretentious. Such pretentious music. Alright, it doesn't boot with my OS either. This is not elevator music. No, don't call this elbow. You want elevator music? I'll give you elevator music. Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm gonna torture you as much as this MacBook is torturing me. You're gonna get some elevator music right now. 1, 2. The being placed on hold would be this. This is hold music. Hold music and elevator music are different. They're all. Elevator goes 19.99999. Alright, this one's either a stupid EFI programming issue or a useless board. So this is for someone else. What is it?
was all we could do. We were young and we knew in our eyes were alive. Deep inside we knew our love was true.
Hey.
For a while we paid no mind to the past. We knew love would last every night. Something right would invite us to begin the day. Something happened along the way. What used to be happy was sad. Something happened along the way, and yesterday was all we had. And oh, after the love was gone, how could you leave me on? And not let me stay around. Oh, after the love was gone, what used to be right is wrong. Can love that's lost be found? For a while, we love each other with all we would ever need. Love was strong for so long. Never knew that what was wrong, oh baby, wasn't right. We tried to find what we had. Till sadness was all we shared. We were scared this affair would lead our love into something happened along the way. Yesterday was all we had. Something happened along the way. Used to be happy, sad. Something happened along the way. Yesterday was all we had. Oh, after the love was gone, how could you leave me on? How could you leave me stay around? Oh, after the love was
Copass. Is the thing with your... Why are you using such a shitty controller? What controller are you using to begin with? Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to work on yet another dead MacBook. Here we have a MacBook that's A1502 with no power. Let's take this thing out of the casing and see if we can figure out what's going on with it and make it work again. Make it a happy little MacBook that works and gives its owner more repair bills when it randomly decides to die because it's an Apple. So, first thing we can tell is that this MacBook has no visible corrosion of any kind. Stop being a noob, Kopaz. You're going to get a controller and you're going to put your own wiring on it. Okay. So it's taking 24 to 36 milliamps. 24, 36. 24, 36. Now, anybody who's watched this channel for any reasonable period of time would understand that when you see the power that the machine is taking jump up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down like that, it's going to be a short circuit. A short circuit. So we're going to open up Paul Daniels' amazing board view software. Now, what I'd like to do in cases like this is check the power rails page, and there's going to be a power rails panel at the end of the schematic. Let's see if we have a short. So on our PP bus G3 motherfucking hot. On our PP bus, what do we have? It's a great question. PP bus G3 hot is not shorted. PP342 must be there because we get a green light in the charger, so I don't have to check that. The 18 volt DC in, I don't have to check that because if that wasn't there, we wouldn't have a green light. PPV RTC G3 hot, we can check that. On this capacitor, right next to this chip. Chippy chip chip. Chippity pip pip. 21.43 kiloohms. Fortunately, the strange Paul Daniels software is not showing that on the screen. Well, it's not showing the K. There we go. It's definitely not my cropping in OBS. It's totally Paul Daniels' fault. Next, PP5VS5. See, I'm just going down the list of rails. It's showing me where they are on the schematic. And then I just measure it on the board. Alright, PP5VS5 is there. Let's try PP5VS4 next. PP5VS4 is located down here. That's not it. Now we try PP5VS3. Bingo. PP5VS3 has a 0.3 ohm short circuit to ground. Now before I inject voltage into that rail to try and figure out what it is, I'm going to look through the board in its entirety and see if anything sticks out to me as damaged or destroyed looking. And you're going to come along for the ride with me while watching my microscope light flicker and flicker and flicker away. Now remember, it's going to be something on PP5VS3, right? So it's got to be something, one of these components. It's going to be one of these. See? One of these. So it's not, that doesn't look bad. This big cap over there doesn't look too bad. Those don't look bad. Usually it's that little audio cap over there. We'll see. Usually it's the audio cap. Or this audio cap down here somewhere. That's what it usually is. It's usually one of those. But one way to find out. Now this power supply is put together in a manner where it's automatically going to shut itself down when it notices there's a short. It's not like the PP-G3 hot power supply where it's able to put through 200 milliamps. This thing's not going to put through that if it notices a short. It's just going to turn itself off immediately. So the only way for me to find that short would be to inject some voltage into it, which we're going to do. So what I need to do is figure out which component is causing my short circuit and pulling everything down. So if I take 5 volts from my power supply and shove it in there, whatever component it is that's pulling it down is going to get really hot because it's completing the circuit between 5 volts and ground. But first, since I have my power supply set up to be used as a MagSafe, I need to set it to 1 volt, because right now it's set to 18 volts, and if I put 18 volts in there, the machine's not going to be... MacBook won't be happy. Won't be a happy MacBook. We want it to be a happy MacBook. As Erica says, MacBook. Erica always calls her MacBook a MacBook. So silly. Silly, silly, the silly woman. Okay, turn on the power supply. And... Ahem. There we go. Come on. Oh, for fuck's sake. Are you broken, little Clippy? You are. Piece of shit. I actually broke this thing yesterday. Alright, I gotta fix my clippity clip. Okay, let me just fix my clip. Here we go. So it's taking whatever it is that's shorted is taking 1 amp. So it should be very warm very quickly. Alright, so there's a couple of possibilities. It could be this cap over here. Remember, if you look at the board, it's going to be something on PP5ES3. Something on PP5ES3 is going to be what gets hot. It has to be something that has a path to ground. So this cap is not it because it hasn't burned my finger. This cap is not it because it has not burned my finger. This cap is not it because it has not burned my finger. This cap is not it because it hasn't burned my finger. It's not a cap over here because it hasn't burned my finger. Yeah, up the amperage a little. It's not this cap because it hasn't burned my finger. It's not this because it hasn't burned my finger. It's not this because it hasn't burned my finger. It's not this because it hasn't burned my finger. It's not this because it hasn't burned my finger. And interesting. It's not this because it hasn't burned my finger. Okay, so if it's not you or you, interesting. So usually what I do here is I put my lips to the board when I can't really find the short and I don't have a thermal camera. Remember, your lips are some of the most sensitive skin on your body when it comes to telling quick changes in temperature. Much more sensitive than your fingertips. I'm about to get myself an STD. I'm gonna touch this MacBook without my gloves on. I don't recommend this out to the people out there at home. Money? Yes, money. Thank you, my acquaintance. Too kind of you. I don't think I may have deserved it, but...
behind the prison door.
It can't be under the tape. See? See? No PP5ES5, PP5ES3 stuff is under tape. This is a troll. This is a completely cold board. USB-C metal shields. This does not have USB-C. What do you mean power set correctly? It's like on or off. It's taking amperage. It's taking 4.9 amps. No network cable for thermal camera. I need to get a network cable made for the thermal camera into the office. I'm gonna bet it's under the transistor responsible for it. So let's take a look here. I'm just gonna take a wild, crazy guess that this is dissipating it. Could it be the cap you connected it to? If it was, it would be getting hot. That's not 5 amps worth of hot right there. Can I make a guess? Can I guess that it's the transistor? I'm gonna make a guess. Because that's the thing that has the most ability to dissipate heat. Could it be a multiple PCB layer issue? Yes, it could be a short inside the PCB. Something disconnected. No, that makes no sense. A disconnect is the opposite of a short circuit. A short circuit is something connecting that's not supposed to. A disconnect is an open circuit. Okay. Holy crap, it may have been a good guess. Yeah, check it out. I removed the transistor and there's no more short. I put my finger on top of that and it wasn't even lukewarm. Let's just double check and see that I actually removed it. So I'm gonna have the power supply turned off because I obviously don't want power going through the board while I'm measuring resistance. That's no good. One ohm. Wait, 1 ohm. 1 ohm. Well, that's still shorted. Did my wire burn out or something? This doesn't make a damn bit of sense. What the fuck? Okay. My multimeter was just being funny. Yeah, 6.9 million ohms. Alright, so it was a bad transistor. So that was the transistor responsible for the buck converter for PP5ES3, and I'll show you how that works in the schematic in just a moment. And I'll tell you why. I guessed that. So let's go over to the PP5ES3 rail where it's created on the schematic. U7501. Bam, right here.
She's got a soft spot for heels and spells and
So the way this works is you have 12 volts from PP bus G3 hot.
something
After a PP bus G3 hot goes through a current sense resistor, it's called PP Vin HS5, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this is actually PP bus G3 hot for all intents and purposes. So you have the 12.56 volts of PP bus G3 hot go into this transistor. Now, we need to create a 5 volt rail and a 3.3 volt rail. This side creates the 3.3 volt rail, and this side creates the 5 volt rail. So what you do to make 12 volts and a 5 is you split it. So the way a switching power supply is going to work is you're going to have 12, 0, 12 volts, and then 0 volts, then 12 volts, then 0 volts. Now obviously, since 5 is less than half of 12, you're going to have more 0 volts than 12 volts in order to average it out. But let's say you have 1 second of 12 volts, 1.1 or 1.2 seconds of 0 volts. 1 second of 12 volts, 1.1 or 1.2 seconds of 0 volts. Like this, it's switching much faster than that, but just to give you a general idea of what the concept is. And this transistor is going to be what does the switching. A transistor is like a light switch. So you're turning, so imagine yourself just turning a light switch on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Except the transistor is not controlled by a physical switch, it's controlled by electricity. U7501 is the controller chip that's going to tell this when to turn on and off and on and off and on and off. And once you have this pulsing of 12 volts, like 12 and 0, 12 and 0, after you put it through this inductor, and then through the, and then these capacitors, not through, after it goes through the coil, and it comes out here to where this capacitor's to grounds, it's not going to be zim, 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 zim. It's just going to be a nice flat 5 volts. Now, this transistor can malfunction. The way it works is it's constantly switching. You have 12 volts in output, output in ground. Now, over here where the transistor goes to ground, in order to complete its circuit, what if this transistor gets stuck? So now, let's say it gets stuck every time you turn on the machine, the 12 volts, instead of going through here and then through there and little snippets, it's going straight to ground. Now, the reason I guessed that it was this when I saw that there was no corrosion on the board and nothing got hot is that this transistor is going to be where all the power for that rail goes through. Every other component on the board is only going to be using a portion of that 5 volts. But where the 5 volts is being created is that chip. So everything on the board that's being powered by PP5ES3 is going to go through that transistor. That means that that section of the board has to have a lot of heat sinking and a very, very heavy ground and power plane. And that's going to absorb and dissipate a lot of the heat. And that's what you see over here. This is going to absorb and dissipate a lot of the heat. And that's why it wasn't getting hot. The moment I removed it, the short circuit went away, which means that my guess was correct. But that's why I immediately chose that chip first. So now we're going to replace it with another one. And then we're probably going to have a working, happy MacBook that we can give back to a customer. Now, why did that transistor die? What made that transistor just decide, I want to die? Apple. So we're going to replace, and then it'll work again until the next time it dies. And I have no guilt here, zero guilt. I've been suggesting to people to stop buying these products for over 7 years now. If people don't listen, then, well, what can I say? If people listen to me, I would not have been expanding into a new store location. I would not have a 12 to 14 employee staff. But people don't listen. So what are you gonna do? Clinton the Cat is a Spy sent by Tim Apple. Perhaps. Too much solder on the center pad is indeed my trademark. Now we're going to take a transistor from a donor board and put it on there. This is where having donor boards really comes in handy. So you have every part you need right in stock, ready to go. So you can give a customer a nice fast turnaround. A cornflake girl. Is that song in the back something you've worked on back in your studio day? This song came out when I was 5 years old, so no. Shit, that took forever to get off of the donor board. El Gianarino said, Transistor said, I'm in a what book? Screw that, pop. Yeah, that's what I figured. Can't really blame the Transistor, because you'd do the same thing if you were in that situation. We're going to let it cool off. To get the board cooled off before we turn it back on, we're going to make use of rapid cool technology. Tori Amos, Michael Acquaintance. Okay, now we turn my power supply back up to 18.5 volts. Plug my DC-in board in. And let's see if it powers on. What do you all think is going to happen? You think I'm going to have a happy board that powers on? Yeah, let's see. We get fan spin? Of course we do. Of course we do. Actually, on this one you don't, because Apple took a machine that had a fine thermal design, the A1502 from 2013 and 14, and decided for the 2015-16 model to up it so that the fan wouldn't turn on until it was about 20 to 30 Celsius hotter than the year before. So you're going to have to wait a little to see that joyous fan spin moment. But it's coming. You'll see. In the meantime, I'm going to ready the board from earlier as we celebrate fan spin so that we can see if that machine that wasn't activating the charger does. So I'll just wait for this to get a glorious fan spin before we move on. In the meantime, I will wash my hands and eat some well-earned trail mix. I like trail mix. Trail mix. Fix anything?
That lady that came in, she was mad about her phone getting wet. I just fixed that. The phone works until you find it. Fix the phone.
That's awesome. You do a really good job.
I just backed it up. I'm backing it up right now.
You consistently figure things out. You're smarter than you give yourself credit for. You have to stop telling yourself that you suck.
I worked really hard on that. That's why.
You are smart. Stop saying that. I'm going to shoot you with a BB next time you say you're not smart. Thank you, David. That is one stubborn fucking fan. Ow! That is a hot CPU. What the fuck? His heatsink is hot enough to hurt my finger, and the fucking fan isn't spinning. You piece of shit Apple product. Joseph knows not what he speak, for he works for a terrible employer. Finally. This is actually warming my hand. Well, that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now. Cut! Why the light is orange? Because it's plugged in. There's no need to test the fan. Every single one of these does that. The 820-4924 does that, where the 820-30-476 doesn't. I haven't really got much done today. I fixed 2 boards. That sucks. 2 boards in 2 hours and 41 minutes. That's shit. I would be grateful if they would finish this shitty game. It's not fun anymore. What game? Huh?
All the girls here are freezing.
I recall when I was small, how I spent my days alone. The busy world was not for me, so I went and found my own. I would climb the garden wall with a candle in my hand. I'd hide inside a hole of rock and sand. On the stone, an ancient hand in a faded yellow ring made alive a world that wonder, often told but never seen. Now and ever bound to labor on the sea and in the sky. Every man and beast appeared, a friend as real as I. Before the fall, when they wrote it on the wall, when there wasn't even any Hollywood, they heard the call and they wrote it on the wall for you and me. Can you see the sad design? The very same. A woolly man without a face and a beast without a name. Nothing here but history. Can you see what has been gone? Memory rush over me. Now I step into the song. Before the fall, when they wrote it on the wall, when there wasn't even any Hollywood, they heard the call and they wrote it on the wall for you and me. Before the fall, when they wrote it on the wall, when there wasn't even any Hollywood, they heard the call and they wrote it on the wall for you and me. I understood. I recall when I was small, how I spent my days alone. The busy world was not for me, so I went and found my own. I would climb the garden wall with a candle in my hand. I'd hide inside a hole of rock and sand. On the stone, an ancient hand in a faded yellow green made alive a world that wonder, often told but never seen. Now and ever bound to labor on the sea and in the sky. Every man and beast appeared, a friend as real as I. Before the fall, when they wrote it on the wall, when there wasn't even any Hollywood, they heard the
This here's the condom song. There'd be a lot less single motherhood in the world, I think, if more men followed the advice of this song instead of impregnating women outside of wedlock. You're never gonna do it without the fez on. Oh no. Never gonna do it without the fez on. Okay, let me leave notes for this one. Never gonna do it without the fez on. Let me just leave notes for this. And then we move on to seeing if the other one was a fix or not. Never gonna do it without the fez on. I'm trying to not gorge myself on food by eating trail mix throughout the day and drinking a lot of water. We'll see how this works in a few weeks. Oh, I guess I can't play music. Alright, so let's see if that A1990 board from earlier has any changes after it's been ultrasonically cleaned and had the ISL 9240 lightly reflowed. We got it very early in the liquid spill process, so I'd be very disappointed if it's totally destroyed. Unfortunately, it seems like it is. It's same 18 milliamps as before. Yeah, PP3V3 G3 hot is missing. That's not good. So I'll take one look over the board to see if anything looks obviously liquid damaged or corroded before I move on. Minor corrosion, but that's backlight. Let's see. That's backlight. I don't care about backlight right now. Backlight would not cause all of this. It would not work. But that means it also must have hit around the ISL 9240. Most of the liquid was in this area, but it hadn't actually damaged anything yet. Lewis fixed my phone, changed the battery, saved my kids' pictures. I appreciate it. Thanks. Did we fix your stuff? Alright, so my only choice at this point is to see if I can find an ISL 9240 somewhere else in the store. Wish me luck. I wish I was an Intercell employee's son. Bookkeeper's son. Yes. Alright, no ISL 9240 in the store. So I guess I get to tell this customer that they get no data and no repair because Apple are pricks and have done their best to ensure that I can't get access to a chip that otherwise would be $5 to $15. What a waste. What a waste. I know what people are going to say, but Louis, why don't you buy the $129 charging board? No. This is no fix, no fee. Firstly, those chips are really at a point where you get like 1 or 2 use out of them. This is one of those little glass BGA chips. And it could be that, but it also could be a bad T2 chip. I don't know. And in a no fix, no fee model, I'm not swapping chips that are going to cost me $130 plus my time to rip apart a battery container, remove it, and reball it to put it on here. And even if I wanted to do that, the Apple Store's closed. I can't just walk down the street and buy it. Yeah. So, not much for me to do here. Maybe we'll find some ISL 9240s, maybe we won't. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Sadness. Just sad. Such a waste of all the technology that went into this board. All the expensive parts that went into this. This is a complicated little piece of equipment right here. All of this stuff, like the CPU, the GPU, the RAM, the SSD, all the work that went into making this exist, the resources and everything, is wasted because one douchebag company wants to keep me from buying one fucking chip. All right. Next. Leave some sad notes in this dude's ticket.